welcome to Hack Central Money. In this video, we'll be discussing customer personas and how to create customer personas for your product or services. But before we continue, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. So if you're ready, let's get into the video. So a persona in user-centered design and marketing is a fictional character created to represent a user type that might use a site, brand, or product in a similar way. Marketers may use personas together with market segmentation, where the qualitative personas are constructed to be representative of specific segments. So here's an example of what a customer persona may look like. Now, you can do this in a different way, but you generally want information such as an image of the person, which could be an avatar that can display in a visual way the sort of customer that you're targeting. It's a fictional character, so you're making up the stories, but you don't make it out of thin air. You're using the information that you've gotten out of market research, out of your empathize stage if you're in UX design, and using that customer-based information to create this persona as your ideal customer. So the image that you use, you want to use an image that matches the market research and the information that you got out of your empathize stage when you're doing your customer development. You want to choose a name that is representative of the person. For example, if your target audience are Latinos, then you want to use a Latino name like Maria, right? And if it's a European target audience, then you want to use a European name. So choose a name that is representative of your audience. You don't have to use fancy made-up names, but you can if you want to be that creative. But stick to a name that resonates with that customer. Toms look like Toms and Matthews look like Matthews, generally speaking. And also, you want to add information such as the person's age, marital status, their occupation, location, and even income. These are information that you'll get out of your market research, and they're information that will tell you the kind of demographic that you're targeting. So you want to ensure that everyone on your team and everyone that's using these personas will know exactly what sort of demographic you want to target. The bio basically tells their story. It's a story about what the customer's pain point is, what their needs are, what they're searching for, why they want to use your ad. This helps you in your communications to them so that you can know exactly how to communicate what it is that you're selling, what value it is that they are looking for that you're willing to offer or that you can offer. The needs is an addition that's not in the biography, but it might even expound on what you've written in your biography. Because as you see, a biography is just one paragraph. Can't put a lot of information into it, and you shouldn't. You want to keep it as simple and poignant as possible to ensure that your information is targeted to the specific situation. You can't fix all situations, and all products won't fit all customers, and even the same customers with a different situation. All the personas should be targeted to the specific situation, the specific task that the customer wants to complete, and that they're going to use your product to use to complete this process. So you want to add also the needs that the customers are looking for. What are their needs that they have that are currently not being met by the market? And pain points. What are they? What is it that they want to accomplish that they're having a challenge accomplishing? These are the things that they're going to pay for, by the way. So you want to be accurate with your pain points. The other things that you see here, which are the research quotes, survey results, percentages, and other competitors that they use, are things that you can add to your persona, but it doesn't have to include it. And we're going to do a demonstration of a simple persona at the end of this video. Why are customer personas important? Personas help us designers to create understanding and empathy with end users. End users are basically your customers, your final customers, the consumer who is a part of a household that will be using your equipment or your service or your product. You can also have a business customer as well. Those would be your end user as well. Now, thanks to personas, designers can gain a perspective similar to the user. And this is done in the empathize stage of your customer development. Creating user personas can help designers step out of themselves and recognize that different people have different needs and expectations. And when we're thinking about different needs and expectations, remember, we can't market to everybody. As much as we'd like, we can only target somebody. So only speak to one person. And this is the reason why customer personas are so important. It helps us to identify what the market wants, but it summarizes it into one person so that you're only speaking to that persona. And in essence, you're speaking to a wider audience, but you're speaking to an audience that's similar, it's very similar to your persona. Another thing that you want to consider too, when you gather the information about your persona and you're thinking about who you want to target, when you're doing your branding image, and you've realized that these are your customers, that these are the ones that are actually paying attention to your product, then you want to consider your market positioning. And you can create this template on your own. I actually have a template that I created. It's in the description. You can click on that you can use and edit in any way that you want. What you're basically doing is putting your positioning against other competitors. And this will be coming out of your competitor analysis and your market research. So when you look at your other competitors, where do you fall in the pool, right? If I'm a Toyota, and Toyota is closer to practical than conservative, and it can be a little bit classy, but it's closer to practical and conservative. Whereas Infiniti and BMW Mini are closer to classy than it is to like sportsy or conservative or even practical. So think about where you want to be in terms of your other competitors and what exactly is your customer looking for, and that's how you would position yourself in your market. You don't want to be too close to everybody. As you see, you have less people in, for example, the classy and conservative box, and also another less crowded place would be in the practical and sporty cars. Now, obviously, if you're doing your product development, it might be easier to create a conservative, practical product that everybody else is doing. But then if everybody else is doing it, it makes your task of marketing the product a wee little bit harder and finding customers and getting into that market segment. So if you want to get a niche, so to speak, or to get your own segment, or some people are less in the segment, this is a nice chart for you to see where all your competitors are, to see where could be your competitive position, and you choose that position accordingly. So just like the customer persona, when we're doing a positioning, you're using information that's in your market research. You're not creating any information. And it's the same with your brand personality. You're going to use your customer persona and user stories to create your brand personality. And what this is a framework that helps a company or organization shape the way people feel about its product and service or its mission. A company's brand personality elicits an emotional response in a specific consumer segment, the customer that's in your persona, with the intention of inciting positive actions that benefit the firm. Positive action in the sense that customers are willing to buy your product and it's attractive. It's attracting them to you because they resonate with your brand. When you're creating your customer persona, you start in the empathize stage. You want to go and reiterate the other things to ensure that your branding matches the customer that you're doing. So you do the customer service first, and then you go on into creating the perfect brand. Now, your brand personality is the next thing that you'd want to create. And this can be either sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, or ruggedness. And I've given here some examples of companies that use any of these brand personalities. Now, it's important to note that these are the brand personalities that companies generally choose. Now, sincerity are for products or brands that want to seem down to earth. They want to seem honest, wholesome, and cheerful. So if you are that sort of company, then you should stick to principles that function around the sincerity model of the sincerity personality in your brand framework. If you're exciting, stick to excitement. If your company wants to be, or your product is daring, spirited, imaginative, and up to date. A lot of tech, like for example, Apple, would fall under excitement. Competence, reliable, intelligent, successful, hardworking. So if your company wants to portray itself like that, then competence is something that's going to be important, which means that quality and delivering exactly what you said that you're going to deliver is going to happen. Example of this is General Electric. Their products are very reliable. You know it's going to work. Toyota is another one. If your company is upper class, charming, glamorous, and feminine, then sophistication is for you. Now, note that a lot of high-end cars fall into this category, right? So it doesn't have to necessarily be a product that is geared towards females, but in that it's just sexy, like a sexy woman. Another one is outdoorsy, tough, masculine, and Western. And these are usually like for camping gears and camping companies. So if you want to talk about ruggedness and things that last forever and really strong equipment, then ruggedness should be a part of your brand personality framework. Now, can you really speak to everybody in the same way? And we already said no. This also relates to the generation that you're speaking to, which is why demographics and having demographic information is so important. Somebody who is a millennium, such as I, you speak to them very differently. They're on to somebody who is like Gen Z, which all of them, to my knowledge, are still in college or probably just graduating this year. So they are still kids, essentially, and they have different needs and they're in different places. They have different interests. For example, you will find millennials still on Facebook to a lot of extent, but you'll never find a Gen Z on Facebook. They are on Instagram and TikTok. A lot of millennials mostly use YouTube, but the Gen Z mostly use TikTok. While there are millennials that use all of these social media, the majority of them would be interested, or certain platforms will appeal to them because there's something called timing. When these kids were at the age when they're forming habits and certain technology came out, which is why no Gen Z is on Facebook. If you see one, as a rare incident. Facebook was the thing that came out when I just left high school. So Facebook would appeal to me because there wasn't anything better at the time, and it became popular because all my friends were on it, and I just basically maintained my Facebook page because it's where I connect to some of my old friends that I don't see anymore, that I don't have on my other social media pages because they're not currently in my sphere, if you know what I mean. They were high school friends and I haven't seen them in years, right? So that's basically why I have Facebook, and this can be the story for a lot of people. So you have to know exactly where your audience is, where they're shopping, where they're getting their entertainment, what they're watching on TV. And I know in a previous video, I had said that even radio stations, certain generations listen to certain radio stations. People who are generally in their 50s and 60s, that predominantly listens to Mellow FM. They usually play music back from those eras and the common things that these kind of people like listening to. Whereas I am younger, I'm hip, I prefer listening to Music 95 FM. So different generations listen to different radio programs, they watch different TV shows, which is why TV shows target particular demographics. Knowing where your demographics are, the only way you can do that is by knowing them better, by engaging with them, asking them, finding out these informations to see where they are. You can't guess these things. You have to ask them directly. You have to do the research. And the best way to get information from customers is to ask them directly. Now, we don't have to give them one long survey. You can get a lot of good information by speaking to different persons, asking them different things, and collating that information. So don't kill them with a laundry list of 20 questions. You can ask someone 5 questions or even 1 question. I've seen the 1 question survey, they work very well. Why they work well? More people are willing to respond to a 1 question survey as opposed to a 5 question or a 20 question survey. Right? So use surveys, use interviews. Customers walk into your store, get information from the sales clerk, your cashiers, anybody else that interfaces with customers directly. Interview them, get information, feedback from them. Go on the floor, talk to the customers themselves about the service that you're offering to get this information. And then, small talk. You get this kind of information about where they are and where they like the entertainment from small talk. So to wrap up, this is an example of a simple customer persona that you can create. And here you can see obviously that I took away certain things, and you can see a link in the description to this template that you can use to edit and create it for yourself. So it's a very simple template. It brings just the information that you need. What we have on top is a quote from the typical user. So this quote basically give information about the personality in a very, very intimate way. You spent the time with this persona so much that you could basically predict what they're going to say for a situation or what their life motto would be. And this can help other people too to understand your ideal customer. Remember, you want to share your customer personas to everybody in your team. You want the marketing professionals to know, the persons who are creating your branding image. We spoke a lot about branding in this because apart from creating products and services, you use customer personas to create your branding and brand identity. Your customer is king. It's an intricate part of developing your brand, a brand that will resonate with your customers. I hope that you found this tutorial useful, and if you did, please do not hesitate to like this video, and of course please share it and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.